as apart from being a rock musician, how do you feel about almost primarily being a film star, literally overnight?
I haven't even thought of it in that way at all, just a sort of an appearance every now and again, really, because to me the whole thing's basically a musical, you know, and there are different sequences, you know, the makeup, montage or whatever, but it's not acting as such, is it really? It's just appearing and showing your face, you know.
Tremendous things have happened to you since 1968, really, haven't they?
Oh, too true, yeah.
Are there any particular moments between 1968 and 76 that you qualify as being the highs of your total career at this particular stage?
Well, there seems to have been a build all the way through, really, which has sort of overwhelmed one. But I do remember one particular point that sort of knocked me flat on the backside, so to speak. We went to the States after having not put out an album for 15 months or something, and not having been there for a year. And the very first two concerts, the first one being Atlanta, had like 53,000 people there, and the next one, Tampa, Florida, 57, and suddenly I thought, my goodness, what's going on? You know, it's crazy. You know, it's the way that people were really just, you know, flocking to us with this great loyalty. And the sort of promoters that were saying, oh, they'll never do it, you know, nobody's going to turn up because they haven't put out any product. And it suddenly occurred to me that, you know, we had a different sort of following to most people. And, you know, it's that sort of thing is obviously very warming to the heart and the soul, you know.
How did you actually physically go about the formation of Led Zeppelin, the finding of them?
Well, I wanted to carry on for sure because I had a certain amount of faith in, you know, there were certain reactions that one had experienced in the States, you know, with the Arbors and other places, Australia too, and England too. And Terry Reid was a singer that I remember having worked with on a bill, the same bill rather, I should say.
And an enormous singer too.
With, it was a Rolling Stones tour. And when you think about the bill now, it's amazing. There was Ike and Tina Turner Review, Terry Reid with band then called Peter J, Yardbirds and Rolling Stones. I mean, you just don't get bills like that.
No, right.
But anyhow, I tried to track him down, and lo and behold, he just signed the Mickey Most. But he suggested Robert, so I tracked up to Birmingham and saw him, and I was amazed, you know, and suddenly it all started to come together in a very short time. It wasn't like a year's process of getting it all together, which seems to be the usual thing. I mean, the whole thing came together within a matter of weeks.
When you first saw Robert, can you remember your immediate reactions?
Yes, I do. It was very strange, actually. I thought there must be something wrong with this chap, because if he hasn't got on, because, you know, the quality of his voice was really, you know, striking. I thought it must just be a personality thing. You know what I mean? I mean, he'd made records and this, that and the other in Birmingham, and I just couldn't understand what it was that had held him back.
When you actually first approached Robert Plant and spoke to him, can you remember what you said to him?
Well, I made reference to Terry Reid, and I said, you know, I think we should, you know, get together if you're interested, come down and, you know, spend some time at my place. We'll go through some sounds, some records, see if we've got the same idea, you know, if we're sympathetic, and take it on from there.
He was very aware of you, of course, was he?
Yeah. I mean, he knew what we were, you know, that there was this thing of forming a group, you know. And then, well, we seemed to get on pretty well, you know. And he was very blues-orientated, and of course I've been through that as well. And then I played him a lot of other things, which I planned to sort of attempt, like Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You and things like that, which, you know, had a totally different approach to the way that it had originally been done by Joan Baez. And he seemed to be into all of these things, so it was definitely on, you know.
It was a real gelling of...
Yes, it was, for sure.
Apart from his ability as a singer, and obviously as a musician, did your personalities gel? I mean, did you like each other? Or?
It was that. The only thing was, I remember he was doing a lot of West Coast music, which I had an aversion to.
Why was that?
A lot of Buffalo Springfield
What did you like about it?
Well, I just, you see, there was an image over here of the West Coast scene, and actually a lot of the bands were very, very poor. The quality was terrible, and I could understand how he'd become involved in the whole, you know, this great sort of family image of groups all together and everything. But you know, it's I wasn't about to tell him that in fact the music was awful when you actually heard it live.
Well, when you had this feeling yourself about the quality of West Coast music.
Ah, now what you're saying, you see, what you're saying is broadcasting an opinion. Well, I wouldn't normally do that. I'm only doing that almost, you know, within conversation here. I mean, for instance, say, I'll give you two examples. Buffalo Springfield, I saw them and they had the sort of balance. Obviously the musical content was totally different, but say the Hollies, if one ever saw those in the old days, perfect balance, perfect harmonies, everything was completely routine right down to the line, and that's how they were. Yeah. Now I went to see Jefferson Airplane, and they began their set with a bass solo which was absolutely phenomenal. And these were in the days of the whole, you know, apex of the San Francisco scene, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be just the end of the world, you know, when they start. And then they began playing, and I couldn't believe it. They couldn't keep time, and it was awful. You know, it was just a great shock, you know. But it was only a personal opinion. You see, as far as the social importance of it, you know, the social attitude, it was very important. And so, you know, I'm only speaking on a musical point.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
And from Robert, you gathered for Led Zeppelin, for the completion of Led Zeppelin.
Well, John Paul Jones was somebody that I've worked with many times before, in studio days. And John Bonham, Robert had played with, and fought with, but in the past. And he was playing with Tim Rose at the time, so we went to see him. And he was, well, there were two people actually. It was B.J. Thomas of the Procol Harum. Yeah. And Bonzo, those were the two possible drummers, you see. But when I saw Bonzo, I knew that he was definitely on, you know.
When you think back to your very beginning of a thinking human being, which is sometimes very hard, and sometimes very clear and very easy to assimilate almost immediately. I mean, I remember you being musically sparked up by Chuck Berry, etc. Is there something even before then?
Yeah. Baby Let's Play House by Presley.
Yeah.
That was a record.
Even before Elvis Presley. Can you remember the musical thing?
Oh, what, the first sounds that I ever heard?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Stan Kenton, I should think.
Yeah.
Those sort of things. But the first rock and roll thing that really turned me on when I went, wait a minute, what was that? It was Baby Let's Play House.
It was the very first time you heard it?
Yeah, and that's when I wanted to play after hearing that. I thought, I want to be part of this.
What did it do to you? And
it just sent shivers up my spine.
And how did you devise in your own mind, how were you going to become a part of this?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know at all, but I was just determined to sort of be part of it, you know? Because in those days, there just wasn't anybody playing.
That's right.
You know, you may find one other guitarist, but he'd live about 30 miles away somewhere, you know.